Hey, I'm Andrea Shipke, and I'm a 4th grade math and science teacher at Laurel Magnet School of the Arts in Laurel, Mississippi. And today we're going to be working with division. Let's go ahead and look at our standard so we know what we're learning today. It's 4.MBT6, and the standard reads, find whole number quotients and remainders with up to 4-digit dividends and 1-digit divisor using strategies based on place value, the properties of operations, and or the relationship between multiplication and division. Illustrate and explain the calculations by using equations, rectangular arrays, and or area models. So we're going to be learning a lot today. We're going to go ahead and look at some vocabulary words that we need to make sure that we know. You may have noticed just a second ago I said the word place value, and in division place value is huge, and it also kind of has to do with something about eating a hamburger. I know. So our vocabulary words that we're going to be working on today that you may have already been familiar with from 3rd grade is the word division and divide. Those words just mean to break into groups. We also have the word dividend, divisor, and the word remainder. Now, I have 2 examples right here that you may be familiar with. You've got the number sentence and you have the traditional algorithm way. This number right here, the 2,432, that would be the dividend, the number that you're dividing to the end. And the 2 would be the divisor. Those are 2 of the vocabulary words. The remainder is what is left over. You may have eaten a meal before where you had some leftovers, and the leftovers were the remainders. And it's just like that in division. Your leftover is called the remainder. And then we also have the word quotient and partial quotient. You probably remember that quotient is the answer in division, but the word partial means part. So it is part of the answer in division. That is definitely what we're working on today. And we're also going to be using area model as one of our strategies that we look at. So I hope you're excited to work on some division. I have some students with me that I want to check in with that are going to be in a hamburger race. And they are so excited to see you today, and we're going to see who is going to win the hamburger race. We have Addie, Christian, and Lawson, and they're going to be seeing who can eat the hamburger the fastest. Now there's a trick. Somebody's only going to eat tiny bites, someone's going to eat medium bites, and someone else is going to eat big bites, kind of like our place value that you heard me say a while ago. So they're going to make the decisions on how they race with the hamburgers. Let's give them some time to think. Okay, Lawson, he says, I'm going to take tiny bites out of my hamburger. Oh, Christian, of course you would, Christian. You're going to take those huge bites out of your hamburger. And Addie, she's going to choose medium bites. Okay, you probably have a prediction on who you think is going to win, but we'll check back with them in just a few minutes. Now, they're going to have a hamburger and the whole has to be the same. So they're showing you your hamburger. It's going to be the same size because the whole has to be the same. The whole has to be the same, so their number has to be the same. So everybody has the same size hamburger, and they're off to the race. Okay, now when they talk about these hamburgers, when they're doing this, of course their hamburgers are going to be decreasing. They're going to get smaller and smaller just when you eat a hamburger. And so we're going to connect this to division. When you're dividing, what you're doing is you're using repeated subtraction. Their hamburger is going to get smaller and smaller. So when we work in division in a second, our dividend is going to decrease over and over again because it is repeated subtraction, just like in their hamburger. Now I also have some key words that I want us to look at right over here that you may see or hear when you divide. You have equal groups. That's what division is. You're splitting something among those groups. You may share them into equal groups. That's a major key word. And one of my favorites is the word distribute. You're breaking those down into smaller groups. And then I also have separate and to half. Those are all keywords that you may hear or see when you're dividing. Okay, are you ready to get started? Okay, the hamburger race is going on right now, but I have some problems right here that we're going to work together. I chose the number 428, and I'm going to divide it by 3. So here is my dividend. This is my divisor. Now, I'm going to illustrate to you what this would look like. And you probably see all these base 10s. I hope the word place value comes to your mind right through here that we're going to use. Now, the first one I'm going to use is I'm only going to use the ones place. And this is probably going to take a while, as you can see. So I have group 1, group 2, group 3. There's my 3 groups, and I have 428 ones. Okay, so I'm going to give group 1, group 2, and group 3 1. Okay, let me keep splitting them among my 3 groups. Give group 2 another one, group 3 another one. Let me give group 1 another. And I hope that you're probably getting bored with me because you realize this is going to take forever. And you're right. In the hamburger race, this is like the tiny bites. It is going to take forever. So I'm going to set my groups off to the side, and I'm going to show you what this would look like. I'm going to draw a line going down, and the strategy I'm going to use is called partial quotient. Now, I'm going to say 3 times 1 is 3. Now remember, division is repeated subtraction. So I'm going to divide right here, subtract, and I get 425. That means I had 425 in here, but remember I took another group of 3. So I'm going to say 3 times 1 gives me my 3 for my 3 groups, and then I'm going to subtract again, and I get 422. So that left me 422. Now, just a second ago, I put 1 more in each group. I think I'm going to power this up because I'm using single digits for my ones here. So that would be numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So instead of doing another 1, I'm going to bump this up to 5. So I'm going to say 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. And I have to subtract because division is repeated subtraction. Okay, right here I have to regroup. Sometimes my 4th graders get out of control and they forget to regroup. I hope that doesn't happen to you because you should be really good regroupers by now. And when I subtract, I get 407. So that means I would have 407, and this is taking forever. Is it okay with you if I just stop doing tiny bites and kind of power this up and worry about the tens place with place value? I hope you feel the same way I do. So I'm just going to stick these back in here, and I'm going to move on. This is not a good idea. I can do it this way, but it's not the fastest way to eat my hamburger. So let's power this up a little bit, and let's go to our tens. Now I have the exact same problem. My holes are the same, just like in the hamburger race. So I have the same problem, and I'm going to worry with my tens. So let me get my 3 groups ready. All right, I think I'm good. And now I'm going to divide. Now I just did my single, so this time I'm going to worry with tens because tens are bigger than my ones. So I think for my first one, I think I'm going to say 3 times 50. My 4th graders absolutely love powers of tens with 5s because they're pretty good with their 5s. So if you're good with powers of tens, this is really going to speed up the hamburger process. So 3 times 5 is 15. And then that 0 right here for powers of 10, and I have 150. Now that is a much bigger bite than we were taking a while ago. Remember when we were decreasing, we were doing -3, -3. Now I just took out 150. That is a very large bite. So here are my 3 groups, and I want you to watch my number decrease as I illustrate with you. So I'm going to take out 50. Now that's 5 tens. I'm sure you remember that. So here is 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 tens. That's for group number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. And there is 150. And look at my number. It's already decreasing. Now, I think I can do that again. I like these powers of 10 with 50. So I'm going to put another 50 right here, and I'm going to say 3 times 5. Ooh, I've got to subtract, guys. I made a mistake. Let me go ahead and subtract that. Ooh, look what happened. What do I have to do? I have to regroup. Very good. So I'm going to take this, and this becomes a 3, and then we have a 12, and that seems like that's much better. And now I have 278. Now I can take out my 50. I hope you caught that. So now 3 times 5 is 15. And now I can subtract again. So let me take out my 50 again. So there, remember, that's 5 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 tens. That's for group number 1. Now I have 3 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a total of 50 for group number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for group number 3. And there is another 50. So inside each group right now, I hope you can tell how many are inside each group. Now let me subtract, and this should be how much is left inside this group, my dividend number, because it's repeated subtraction, so it is decreasing. 8 minus 0 is 8, 7 minus 5 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So I have 128 inside my original dividend. I'm taking out some big bites, guys. Okay, now remember, this is a guessing game. I can guess and I can choose any number I want to. I could do minus 3, minus 3, minus 3, repeated subtraction, but 50 is going to be too large right here because when I multiplied, I got 150. So I'm going to take a number smaller than this. Now I know that I'm going to say 3 times 4. Do you see that 12 right there in the hundreds and tens? I think I'm going to do 40. You do not have to do 40 in your guessy game. If you wanted to say 3 times 10 is 30, you could do that. You could power that up to 20 or 30, but 40 is the largest number that I can take right there. So 3 times 4 is 12, with powers of 10 is a 0. Division is repeated subtraction, and I subtract and I have 8. So that means I need to give each of my 3 groups 40. So 10, 20, 30, 40, or you could say 4 tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 4 tens, that's for group number 2. 10, 20, 30, 40, and there's for group number 3. And I want you to watch something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 left. Look right there. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so our next number that we're going to do is we can't do powers of 10, but we can do those single digits, those ones. You could choose 3 times 1 and take away 3, but I know that 3 times 2 is 6, and now I can subtract, and 8 minus 6 is 2. And look, when I divide out, group number 1 gets 2, group number 2 gets 2, and group number 3 gets 2. And here is my remainder. I can't go again, I can't divide them evenly, so 2 is my remainder. Do you see it? Now you may be asking, well, that's great, Ms. Shipke, I see it, but you said that division, the answer is called quotient, and I don't see my answer. Yes, you do. It's hidden in here. Now remember, to divide, you have to multiply. That's what we were doing right here. We were dividing out and multiplying to get our number of groups to do repeated subtraction. Well, the inverse of subtraction is addition. That's exactly right. So we're going to add up our partial quotients. Quotients is the answer, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 partial quotients. And I know that 50 plus 50 is 100. I'm going to add my 40 and my 2. Make sure you line them up. Sometimes my 4th graders get out of control and they don't add their numbers up because they don't line them up correctly. And now I have the number 142, remainder 2. And sometimes you may see someone write an R2. So here is my final quotient. And if you look inside each group, there would be 142 remainder 2. Now, wasn't that a lot faster than sitting here and doing 1, 1, 1? It would have taken us forever, which reminds me, we need to check on my students with the Hamburger Race and see how they're coming along. Is the tiny bite kid winning? The medium bite kid winning? Or do you think Christian with the big bites are winning? So let's check back in with them and see how they're doing. All right, it looks like they're coming along. Oh, I see Addie showing us, Christian showing us, Lawson showing us that he's taking those tiny bites. Now remember, Lawson's taking those tiny bites. That was the first illustration that I showed you. He's coming along okay, but if you look at Christian at the top with those big bites, he's doing some pretty large bites. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at Christian. He's done, and he took the biggest bite, and I bet you could figure that out. Addie's coming along. Lawson, I don't know if you're going to make it, kiddo. You're taking some really tiny bites. That was the first illustration we did, and it looks like Addie is about to be in second place. Addie is in second place is the one that we just did on the last illustration. Now, I bet you probably knew that Christian was going to win. So let me show you why Christian won. I'm going to take these out of the way real quick where we can see it. Now remember, my holes are the same. I still have the number 428, and I'm still going to divide it into 3 groups. Still into 3 groups. Okay, and let me switch my board so you can see it, and now we are ready to go. Okay, so 428, I have that number right here so you can see it. And now we're ready. Okay, so this should go really, really super fast. You see my 100 blocks? Okay, I'm going to give this a 100 block, group 2 100 block, group 3 100 block, and we're good. That was fast. I just took a huge bite out of my hamburger. Now, I do have a little bit of an issue right here, so let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. Okay, do you remember how many hundreds I took up? 3 times 100. 3 times 100 gave us 300. Look at this huge bite. It's repeated subtraction. Look at that. We have left right here 128. Do you see this? 128. That's how much we have left to split. Massive bite. Okay, now here's my problem. I can't split this guy, but I know you heard me a while ago say regroup. So I'm going to regroup this 100 for another number that means the same. 10 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 tens equals 100. So I'm just going to trade those out, also known as regrouping. Okay, now I think I can do this. I think, remember a while ago when I took out that 40? I think I could say 3 times 40. 3 times 4 is 12 with 1 0 when I power a 10. Repeated subtraction, and boom, I'm done. So I'm going to give plate number 1, group number 1, 40. Group number 2, 40. Look here, group number 3, 40. And look how many I have left. 8. Now I've taken out hundreds, my biggest place value. I've taken out tens. It looks like now I'm on these single digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I'm going to say 3 times, what you think, 2 maybe this time? 3 times 2, and I'm going to get 6. Division is repeated subtraction. I subtract and I get 2. So each of my 3 plates is going to get 2. Plate number 1, 2, plate number 2, 2, and plate number 3, 2. And do you see my remainder? I see it right here. I have 2 left over, just like I did on every one of these problems. Do you see the partial quotients? I have 3 partial quotients this time. And when I add them up, make sure you line them up. You're one of my 4th graders. You're going to get 142 remainder 2. Now, before we go anywhere, I want you to look at this. This was Addie. This is Christian. You can see right here where Christian broke out into the lead. Christian took out the biggest place value that we could with hundreds. Addie did tens. Everything else is the same. So where she has 4 partial quotients, he has 3. He did a better job at the guessing game. There's no wrong way to eat a hamburger, but if you're going to eat a hamburger, you need to take the biggest bites first. So in today's lesson, I hope that you have a very good understanding of dividing. I hope that you see that it's kind of like eating a hamburger. If you're going to win that hamburger race, take the biggest bite that you can based off place value. And you can be like Christian with partial quotients, and you can win too. Happy dividing. See y'all next time.